Dobry den,
Zdravejte.
and welcome back to our little Bulgarian adventure.
Yes, we've had a pottering week this week.
Yes, pottering.
Yes, we've not got any major projects on at the moment. So we're doing those little fill-in jobs that need doing.
Yeah, we started our week by doing our bit of voluntary work.
We did. The park is coming along in leaps and bounds. It's an awful lot different to when we started.
Yes.
Some really good work is being done there.
Yeah.
And hopefully by the end of June, which seems to be the deadline, we should have everything tidy, painted, looking spick and span.
Yes, we haven't started the painting yet, but there was definitely, we've learnt enough Bulgarian to understand there was a discussion about paint colours.
Yes, it could be yellow, it could be red. We'll let you know.
Don't know.
Yeah, so that was Sunday morning.
And while we were there,
yes,
one of the local ladies brought some cherries along.
Lovely they were.
Lovely fresh cherries, and she said, we were told by one of the other ladies that we could buy some at the garden.
Yes. To which we said, which garden? It turns out the garden is actually the orchard.
Yeah.
Or is it an orchard with its cherry trees? I suppose it is, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, so we asked for directions. We kind of knew where it was, but we weren't sure how to get to it.
Yes, it was definitely an off-road job.
A little bit of off-roading, but we went along there, found the person in charge of the cherry orchard, and bought 2 kilograms of cherries for the princely sum of 6 lever, which equates to about £2.50.
Yes, and they were delicious.
Oh yes, fresh off the tree.
Yeah. So we've been making cherry compote and had lots of fresh cherries.
Oh yes, and hopefully we'll get some more this week.
Yeah. Discovered another fruit that Max likes.
Yes, so that's on the list now.
Cherries are now on the list.
Yes.
We also paid our council tax this week.
We did. Now the first year we did this, you may remember, was a bit of a trauma for us.
Yeah.
There was lots of not really knowing what was going on. Well, this time we were prepared.
Yes, providing you have your bill from last year's, it's absolutely
a double.
easy.
Yeah. And we went in and we basically said we'd like to pay our taxes and handed over the paper. And 2 minutes later, they were paid. If you're interested in how much they were, bear with me. I need to put my glasses on. The council tax, we both pay half each, which is the system that's done here. But between us, the total came to 68 lever 76, which is in English money at today's exchange rate, £30 and 3 pence. That's for the year. We also, while we were there, paid our car tax. Now our car tax came to 159 lever 72 statonki, which my car is in the most expensive bracket because of its age and the size
Diesel,
of it.
not very environmentally friendly.
So they charged me more, which I don't mind. That comes in at £69.75. On top of this, if you want to drive on the highways, you need a vignette. Now the annual charge for the vignette is 87 lever or £38.
Yeah.
So that's how much to get your car so you can drive it on all the roads and pay your council tax. So we're now up to date, and this year we paid it in time, so we didn't have to pay any interest, unlike last year.
And we paid, I think, all of 7 lev in interest.
Less than that.
Less than that.
Yeah, less than 11. Yeah, so that was the car. That was the car and the council tax paid.
And we had our last Bulgarian lesson of this term.
We have. That was on Wednesday. We've broken up for the summer. We have plans to do.
On holiday, yeah.
Yes, as Alice Cooper said, school's out for summer. Yes, so we're now looking at different plans for continuing learning Bulgarian, but with the help of local Bulgarians. We'll keep you posted on what we decide and how that goes.
Yeah.
In other news, we've been doing, like I said, pottering jobs around the house and around the garden, and this week, this is what we've been doing. We finished last week with the concrete under plastic drying or curing, but the cesspit covered. The 2 bits I've left to do is make a cover for this front access inspection panel, and also if you look in the background you'll see another one which is for the overflow pit. That also needs a cover. So that's one of the many jobs I've got this week. This week we're doing lots of little jobs, just catching up before we start our next major project. So it's a pottering week, bear with me. I've made the former for the first cover. You'll see it's got a handle at one end, that's made out of rebar, bent into a kind of horseshoe shape, going through the side of the wood. That's so that we can easily lift one end to be able to manoeuvre it when it's in place. I thought about doing a handle on both ends, but I don't really think it's necessary. Time will tell on that one, I suppose. Meanwhile, with one made, all I have to do now is put a second together, then I'll be ready to mix the concrete. So that's the two formers made. I've laid them on plastic so that when I pour the concrete doesn't stick to the marine ply that's underneath it. I've also left enough to fold over the top to get it under plastic when it's drying so that it doesn't dry out too quickly. Now, because it's not a huge amount of concrete I've got to make up, I'm not going to do it in the mixer. That takes a long time to clean up afterwards. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand mix it in the wheelbarrow. I've got all the stuff here, so that's my next job. So that's the first one poured into the former. It's got the mesh as reinforcement, it's got the handle in place. Now there's a tip I picked up, I kind of previously knew it, but I was reminded by Mark from the Shark's Den, that if I get a sander and hold it against the frame on, the vibration will help the air rise to the top and make the concrete stronger. Thank you, Mark. I'm going to give that a go. If you haven't watched the Shark's Den, make sure you do. It's well worth watching, and they work an awful lot harder than I do. So hopefully you can see the bubbles that have risen to the surface. I'm going to give it a quick skim over again with float. But yes, that certainly removes some of the air and hopefully gives me a stronger cover for the cesspit. So that's both of those now poured into the formers. I've got to leave them a couple of hours just for the surface to set up before I give them a spray with water and then cover them over with plastic. They'll then stay there for 5 days to a week, whatever I decide to give them. And then I can put them in position, covering the holes into the cesspit and the overflow pit, and that'll be that job complete. This is another job that I've been working on. I've been tidying up the bays this end, reorganising, levelling the ground where the wood's going to go next year. The wood in the corner I've decided to leave and not restack, there's really no point, but I have 3 more bays to fill up with the firewood for this year, and then an end bay for smaller sticks, kindling. You'll see I've got 5 boxes of kindling already. As I go through there'll probably be more, but this end is now beginning to come together in the way I want it to. Another part of the reorganisation of this end of the barn is to put proper steps in here. This is where we have the kind of back entry into the barn. I did have some old clay bricks similar that make up the walls of the barn that we used as temporary steps. They were wobbly, not overly safe, so what I've decided to do is put this concrete pad and then build up the steps in the same way I did in the kitchen with bricks. We've still got plenty of bricks to use. I'm just allowing this pad to get strong enough for me to be able to lay the bricks on it without damaging it. And on the topic of concreting, while I've been doing that, I decided I want to concrete in the base of these posts, which are in the cellar. They're in the corners of each of the rooms, just an extra bit of support for the floor. I did say I was going to concrete them in, so while I had mixing going on, I decided I'd do it. So now all 4 corners are concreted in place. Something else I've done is I've put this central support pillar in the middle of the room. Now because it's a cellar and not a proper living room, I think I can get away with having a post in the middle, but it just gives a bit more strength to the floor upstairs. It's taken a little bit of the bounce out, not that there was very much, but enough to annoy me. So I've put it in and that's cured the problem. So that's another job done. The last job I've done this week is in the garden, but it's not really to do with the garden. It's that time of year. The pool is out. It's a different pool to last time. It's a bit deeper, it's a bit bigger. It's got a filter so we won't use as much water. That's all set up, ready to go. The sun is out, so guess where I'm going to be this afternoon. That's right. So that's what I've been up to this week.
Yes, ever since we put the pool up, we haven't had the baking hot sunshine we had the week before.
No.
It's been warm and very pleasant and nothing horrendous.
But we haven't needed that cooling down that we get from the pool.
No, but I'm sure it's coming.
Oh, it will be, yes. And having it there ready, as soon as it gets hot, we'll be ready. So, I think that's probably about all we've done this week.
Yeah, we've not done much more.
No.
We will be starting our corridor project soon.
Yes, I've got to get a bit more material, some more sand, some more gravel to make the concrete up. There will be more materials as well, but that's the starting point. But we'll just continue pottering with a small touching up, finishing off jobs that need doing. That's about it from us this week, so it's time for us to say,
stay safe.
Be well.
Skoro.
Skoro.